My name is Fierce Gamer, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Now, today's going to be a little bit different, because today is December the 7th, 2021, exactly 80 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So, I have this diorama that I've been working on for a while, and to honor the men and women who served and fought for our country, I have decided... Sorry, I'm kind of sick. I've decided that I'm going to go over this diorama and pay respect to the men and women who fought and protected our country on this very date 80 years ago. So before we start off with the video, I would like to take a moment of silence to honor those who died during the attack. Okay, moving on. So, the way that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna work my way through. Hopefully, review most of everything that I have. Now, this isn't complete, as you see, but it being December 7th, I kind of have to show off what I have. And, turns out I have the coronavirus, but that's not going to stop me from honoring the men and women who served and fought for our country. So, let me pull up a map here. And zoom in. So, as I said earlier, this is a complete replica of the attack so far. Hopefully, I'm hoping by either next year or the next couple years. By the time the war has ended, I'm hoping to have this complete. So, to start off, we're gonna start off over by the USS Pennsylvania. We have the destroyers USS Cason and USS Downs. And behind them is the USS Pennsylvania, which is actually my state battleship. But, it's not important. During the attack, the destroyers were bombed by a couple of aircraft from the Japanese, and both exploded and were severely damaged. But by 1942 and 1943, the ships were rebuilt and sent back off into service, carrying the same names and hull numbers. Behind them would be the USS Pennsylvania. She suffered minor damage during the attack, thankful to a crane hitting an aircraft. She was hit in the same spot as her sister ship, the Arizona, but did not suffer any severe damage, and was able to be shifted off back into service by early to late 1942. She is the only battleship that was able to be pushed back into service the following year. We have a submarine here, USS Cachalot. She didn't really do much during the attack, I think. I don't really have... I need to stop doing that. I don't really have a note sheet or whatever for this, so I'm just stating what I know. But yeah. Behind that would be the USS Helena and the USS Oglala. The USS Oglala was torpedoed and capsized shortly after, and USS Helena was also torpedoed but sank into the harbor pretty quickly, and most people aboard survived. Now, over here is the main section of the harbor. I don't think very many of these ships suffered much to any damage, but the crews still got to action as soon as they could to help and fight against the Japanese attacks. So, moving from left to right, I guess, we have the USS Jarvis, I think Bagley-class destroyer, or Mahan. We have the USS Argonne, and the gunboat Sacramento. She's glitched out right now. But, next up, we have the USS Mugford. Alright. So just a quick overview. If you'd like to see tutorials for any of these ships that I have on this map, please let me know. I'm hoping later I can push out the tutorial for the USS Arizona. Yeah. Moving on to the next area of the harbor, we have the USS Cummings, and next to her, the USS Rigel. Don't really know what types of ships a lot of the auxiliaries are. I can't really remember which classes each destroyer was. Moving on, we have the USS Honolulu, Brooklyn class light cruiser, and then directly behind her is the USS San Francisco, New Orleans class heavy cruiser. Moving back to the front, we have the USS Schley, a Wicks class destroyer, and then right next to her is the USS Ramapo, which I believe was an fleet oiler, and then directly behind her is the USS New Orleans class heavy cruiser. Moving on, we're going to go back to the front here, and we have the USS Preble, the USS Sicard, and directly behind her is the USS St. Louis, Brooklyn class light cruiser of the St. Louis subclass. And moving on over here, we have two minesweepers, the Grebe and the Swan. That's Preble. This is Swan. And moving over here, we have Sicard of the Clemson class destroyers and the Grebe. Next, right behind there, we have the Tracy and Pruitt, both of the Clemson class destroyers. And then back here we have the USS Bagley of the Bagley class destroyers, lead ship. And moving on over to the far section of the harbor, which is where I didn't really get most of the work done. We have the ships USS Sumner and USS Castor. I think one of them is a cargo ship and the other one is a gunboat. Over here in the submarine docks, we have 4 submarines, the Narwhal, Gudgeon, Dolphin, and Tautog. And then we have 2 Clemson-class destroyers, the USS Hulbert and Thornton. Moving on over here, we have the fleet oiler, I think this is an oiler, Peleus. I think that's how it's pronounced. It shouldn't receive any damage, despite being literally out in the open. Moving on into the back of the harbor, we have several destroyers and auxiliaries. Alright. So, going off into where Makanui Island should be, we have destroyers from left to right, Allen and Chew and Allen. And we have the hospital ship USS Solis. Credit to my friend, Finn Shipbuilder for designing this. I did not have the time to design my own. Then we have from left to right, we have the USS Dobbin, destroyer tender, the Hull, Dewey, Warden, McDowell, and Phelps. Phelps is much larger than the others over here because she is a Porter class destroyer escort. No, destroyer leader. Yeah, destroyer escorts are 30. Over here we have 3 destroyers of the Bagley class, the Henley, Patterson, and Ralph Talbot, from right to left. Over here we have a few more destroyers. We have the Whitney, Dobbin's sister, and we have from right to left the left from right Cunningham. No, yeah, Cunningham, Reed, Tucker, Case, and Selfridge. Selfridge is a Porter class destroyer leader, so of course she's larger. I think the others in here are all Farragut class. We have the USS Blue. Then we have USS Phoenix, named after, of course, Phoenix, Arizona, of the Brooklyn class light cruisers. And moving on all the way out here. Yes, we have 4 Farragut class destroyers. We have from left to right, Alwyn, Dale, Farragut, and Monaghan. And then moving on to we're over by Pearl City and the Middle Walk should be. We have the seaplane tender USS Curtis, and then the repair ship USS Medusa. Then we have USS Wasmuth, Perry, Zane, Breeze, and Trevor. Then we have the USS Montgomery, Gamble, and Ramsey. The ones over here are of the Wicks class, and then over here we have the Clemson class. And moving on to the main areas of the harbor, we have should have been Carrier Row. Japan expected there to be at least 2 aircraft carriers here, those probably being the Lexington and Saratoga, since they often sat over here. So from front to back, we have the USS Detroit. She suffered no damage and got away fine. USS Raleigh received moderate to light damage. Heavy damage, actually. I'm 90% sure she capsized, but was later raised and pushed back into service. And then USS Utah. She received heavy damage, torpedoes from her port side, and quickly capsized afterwards. After the attack, she was partially raised to retrieve machinery and other stuff, including her guns and whatever after the attack, but was just left in the harbor, and you can go see her today. Over here on Fort Island, there's supposed to be a lot more than what I have, but as I said, this is not finished. It's supposed to be, but it's not. We have the Ford Island Naval Air Station right here, which is a giant runway and stuff like that. I don't know why my render distance is so low. And like fog and stuff. Anyway, here is are the multiple hangars and office buildings and stuff that would have been here during the attack. And then moving on into Battleship Row, we have the tiny USS Advocate, Lapwing class minesweeper, and then Battleship USS California. She received heavy damage and sunk into the harbor after suffering, I think, a bomb hit and 2 torpedoes. USS Neosho, over here, received 0 damage. She actually pulled out of the harbor, going over here and then looping around, and then tried to get away, I think. Her anti-aircraft is responsible for sinking, for shooting down a fair amount of the aircraft that the Japanese lost after the attack. Then in the official Battleship Row, where most people consider Battleship Row, we have the USS Maryland and the USS Oklahoma. USS Maryland received light damage, but got pinned in place by the capsizing USS Oklahoma, who took 3 torpedoes to the hull and capsized shortly after. After she was raised, she was sent off to the dockyards, but after several inspections, there being just too much damage for them to care, and her being on the older side, they instead sent her to the scrapyards, but ended up sinking during a storm. We have the USS Tennessee and the USS West Virginia. Just like her sister ship, the USS Tennessee would go on to fight in the rest of the war, and was also heavily modernized between 1943 and 1944. And the USS Tennessee received at least two torpedo hits and sank into the harbor. She was eventually raised, and just like the other standard type battleships, was sent back into battle. Now we move on to the USS Arizona. Arizona received heavy damage, obviously, but in the first wave of attack, she received a couple bomb hits, but they didn't really do much to her. During the second wave, she was hit by a bomb near her her forward gun turrets, and it hit the magazine, and she was blown straight out of the water. She was not raised because she was split into pieces, and rebuilding her to fight in the rest of the war would have been considered pointless. Her sister ship, Pennsylvania, was lightly modernized and sent back on for the war, but if the Arizona were to be modernized, I don't think she would look anywhere close. And next to her, we have the repair ship USS Vestal. USS Vestal was hit by a bomb and was caught on fire, but the explosion from the Arizona actually put out the fires on the Vestal, and Vestal had made her way over to the Aia Bay, where she basically sank over there. But the USS Vestal's career did not end there. She helped repair several battleships and aircraft carriers, ranging from the United States Battleship South Dakota to the United States aircraft carrier USS Enterprise. And then finally, we have the USS Nevada. She was heavily damaged during the original attack, but once she got underway, she made it all the way down to Hospital Point. But after a while, fires on board and several torpedo hits that she received and bomb hits that she received on the way down there eventually put her out of service, and she had to beach herself at Hospital Point. Now for other stuff, I have the outline of the entire harbor laid out and most of it filled in, but due to time restraints and school being in the way, homework and chores, I was unable to completely finish the harbor in time for the 80th anniversary. But, this is what I have. I hope you, all enjoyed seeing this. I had quite a lot of fun building it, actually. If there are any suggestions that you want to make, or any of these ships that you would like to see get a tutorial very soon, just let me know in the comments. If you have any family who served during the Second World War and during the attack on Pearl Harbor, please let me know. I would love to hear all of you guys' stories. Or maybe if you yourself served in World War II, which I highly doubt, considering this is a Minecraft channel. But just let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear all of you guys' stories. But without further ado, my name is Furious Gamer, and I have been working on a Pearl Harbor for a very long time. I am honoring the men and women who served during the Second World War, and I will see you guys all in the next video, hopefully later today. Bye. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.